All right, let's round out this with a little bit of talk of WWE Network. Uh, One thing that I found kind of funny is Vince McMahon talked about how Oprah Winfrey, her network, that it failed because she didn't give the fans what they wanted, and that WWE is not going to make that mistake. Uh, the only thing I'm hearing right now are these pitches for these TV shows that sound awful. Have you heard any of these things that they're trying to give out right now?
I mean, not only do the shows sound awful, but the choices of the titles are even worse.
Oh God, what was the recent one? It was the Sports Center type of show where they're
The top
Power
10.
Center and Event Center and Live Event Center. It's not a live event.
It's not.
It's not any event. It's going to be somebody like a Todd Grisham kind of a guy, probably like Jack Corpella, standing there asking you questions about it, kind of like what this show is. But I'm doing this practically for free, and hey, if they want to pay me to do it, I'll gladly do it, even though I'm calling it a dumb show idea right now. Uh, but yeah, like these a live action center, an action center, an event center. The only one that I thought was halfway decent out of all of them was the interaction center. Because if you're going to have people calling in, then interaction, okay, I kind of get that one. But who's going to really watch a sports center type of show called the Action Center, thinking that they're going to get action? The first time they're going to watch it, they're not going to see anything, and then they're going to be pissed off.
If it's an interactive where, I mean, you've seen it all over the TV, WWE is trying more than anything to get people to look at them on Twitter. If if it's something where you're doing like who's your top five in this category, and then people are voting in on Twitter, something like that, that I could see. But if it's just like here's the highlights, I don't understand. It's only a 2 hour show once a week or twice a week. Do you really need 2 hours of highlights the next day?
Right, yeah, they can't. They certainly can't have a daily show kind of a thing because they don't have that much footage. I mean, they can't show you what that new show, the Heels on Wheels with the divas and all that. They can't show you that for an hour and then show you highlights for an hour the one week because then that's going to be the entire show. Why not just rerun the show again? And if they're
Exactly.
breaking down things from the past, like maybe your top 10 favorite heels of the past or your top 10 favorite entrance themes or something like that. I think that they even said that they had a show that they were cooking up in the works that was about retrospective stuff anyway. So you're kind of
Yeah,
stomping on all your grounds here, and I can't see them having enough content for this WWE network at all.
yeah. I think I voted for the WWE Countdown title for that specific style show. But yeah, the content itself, you need to either have more just talk show related shows just hosted by the personalities themselves, or you need to start running all of these DVDs that you've been putting out for the past 20 years, running old pay per views. I don't understand. You're not going to be able to just go week by week and talk for 5 hours about what happened on Raw.
Especially considering there's always the Raw rebound, the SmackDown thing, and all that kind of stuff. So if you're already showing recaps, then you don't even have 2 hours worth of programming between the commercials and all that. You're talking about an hour and 15 minutes worth of programming that you're going to stretch out and talk about for the whole week every time. I can't see it happening. And if this is what the fans apparently want, then the fans, what the hell, guys? I don't know. If any of you are out there and this is exactly what you would be wanting, and if you were running the network, you would be thinking to yourself, oh man, I really want to see the same Randy Orton match 12 times in a week and then a rebound of it on Raw and all that kind of stuff. I don't know what to tell you. If you're a fan of that many repetitive things, watch this video 1,000 times and help me out. I don't know.
It's pretty terrible. I mean, there's a couple good ideas that they could have. I I think that they should have a show. There's enough people that actually have some clout in the entertainment business that watch wrestling that they could have guests on a show talk about wrestling, talk about what's going on, like a Jimmy Kimmel and that style, and have a show like that where they have rotating guests come on and talk about it. But
Huh.
because that's like an outside perspective, but they can't just keep talking about the same topics and have the same announcers talking about it all day long.
Some kind of like a show where, not necessarily like a Tonight Show where you have a special guest and they plug a product, but maybe have somebody who's out there like Hugh Jackman, who was just recently on, ask him what his thoughts about how he became a wrestling fan and all that kind of stuff, and let them promote their product and all that kind of thing. Is that what you're talking about?
Exactly. Or even have two to three on at a time and have them almost in a debate format, like, oh, why are you rooting for Cena over Rock? Like,
Hmm. I don't know if you've ever seen, but they have this WWE Legends Roundtable that they filmed a couple documentary videos about, where they have like overall for the most part it's usually Jim Ross and Gene Okerlund, and then three completely randomized people. Mick Foley was on quite a bit of them. Piper, I think, was on a few. Ric Flair was on a few, putting himself over the entire time. No surprise. Uh,
whoa.
exactly. Taz, stumbled over every one of his words. But they do that, and I think that it's really entertaining. I would watch that if they had that up on a regular TV show once a week, if they had the different discussions about that. So I've been wanting them to put that kind of a show on there, and they're really not announcing that. They're announcing these recap shows and these.
You know why? They cost a lot less money to make.
True, but I mean, it can't cost that much money to have these couple people go to the WWE studios and sit around a round table and talk for an hour.
Well, if you're paying people that aren't necessarily on the WWE roster or in their contract, like, I want to see like an outside perspective doing it, not somebody whose paychecks are signed by the WWE.
Yeah, because they might just be telling them to say certain things, and
exactly.
I'm sure that if they wanted to figure out a way to get celebrities on the WWE Network, they could figure it out. I mean, they've got the connections between them, but it seems like they're more focused right now on trying to get out these horrible titles on these terrible shows, and I don't know.
Which doesn't make sense, because any publicity that they're going to get from all these like outside celebrities if they join would only help their cause. Unless they're waiting until closer to the network to air, because otherwise they're going to talk about it and the network's not even going to be up yet.
I'm sorry, didn't hear you right then. Kind of faded out.
Unless they're waiting for the network to be closer to being on TV, because if, say, Jimmy Kimmel is the person that signed on to do this, he talks about it the next day on TV, WWE Network's not going to be on for a year. It doesn't help them.
I don't know, maybe. Because they are talking about possibly having it around WrestleMania time, but they're pretty much just shooting for 2012 at some point, so they might just be waiting to kind of start off slow and get the ball rolling. Everybody's going to get excited over these little shows more, then you get the bigger ones, and then the bigger ones. And if they're doing that, then kudos to them, because they figured out a good strategy for that. But if this is all that they're doing, then we're looking at another XFL or WWE Films or any of these other kind of things that Vince McMahon's tried over the years.
Linda McMahon's Senate run.
And potentially Linda McMahon's second Senate run, which is going to come up and most likely fail.
Terrible.
See, just bringing up the XFL thing, I got to go on a little rant here for a minute. I honestly think XFL was a good idea. I think that they did a shit job with it, but if they would have done a better job promoting it and packaging it better, I think it could have worked. I mean, I'm not the guy to talk it to about sports. Wrestling is the only kind of sport that I watch, but to me, XFL, it has a marketable name. If you wanted to get more on the edge of like, the more aggressive side of football, then people would want to see that, and more of like a kind of like a rugby sort of thing.
I can tell you why it didn't work. I'm a big time football fan itself, and these top athletes are coming out of college signing with other leagues for $40-50 million guaranteed. Nobody was going to sign with a league that isn't guaranteed to work, that's paying them 5% of that. So they had mediocre players to begin with. That was the problem. If you don't have the actual talent, it doesn't matter how marketable your announcers are or if you have a good name or not.
True.
The actual product wasn't there.
I didn't really quite think of it that way. That's a good point. Huh. Now, WWE Films is a completely different story, because I think that they have just been awful. I haven't even watched them. I haven't been able to watch them. I see the Chaperone trailer. I'm, sick in my stomach. I see the The hell's this one that's coming out now? I don't even remember the name of these. They're all just garbage.
The newest one with
John Cena,
oh, I was thinking of the one with Triple H where he's
where he's the more serious chaperone.
yeah.
It's the exact same movie. They just replaced the little kid with Michael Rappaport, and that's it.
I liked him in Special. That was a good movie.
Didn't say it.
But yeah, I don't understand what they're going with that. I think they said, "Hey, look, The Rock became a big time movie star. If we can make Cena or Triple H become a movie star and have them still with the company, how awesome would that be for us?"
Yeah, it's a good idea in theory, but they just have no execution for it. And
What
it
they
doesn't seem like they're changing anything up to make it better because nothing. I don't think anything that they've done with WWE films has gotten anywhere close to even like 10% rating or something like that on Rotten Tomatoes. They're not progressing at all on this.
no, they need to actually have these. I mean, they're actors. They need to have these actors audition for real movies, not movies that got passed up by everybody else so the WWE bought them. You have them in real roles, and then you can market it saying, "Look, our guys in this movie go see this movie," and that's just going to bring you right back to WWE for Raw.
But I think that they might be worried that if they start doing that, then they're going to leave again, like The Rock did.
Well, that's why you have to do it with Cena and Triple H. I mean, one's tied into the company by marriage, and I don't think the other one would ever leave.
Maybe, I don't know. And that's another thing is if they're planning on trying to use the network to run their WWE films, nobody's watching them at all. Nobody's going to want to watch them on the network either.
No,
If nobody wants to watch
especially if you
NXT,
have to pay for that network.
right, exactly. If nobody wants to watch NXT and nobody wants to watch Superstars and they're using wrestlers that people actually want to see, then, well, NXT sometimes don't, but Superstars at the very least was having quite a bit of decent names there for a while until they started figuring out that they could just put the people like your Kurt Hawkins and your Primo and all that kind of stuff on there, and then the ratings dropped, of course, because if you give somebody something that they don't want, they're not going to watch it anymore. And the same thing will happen with WWE films. You put that on the WWE Network when their new Comcast bill comes along, or whatever they have, Time Warner, et cetera, et cetera. People are going to be like, you know what? I'm not going to continue my subscription to WWE Network because I'm watching these same 10 god awful movies, and I'm watching recap shows of the shows that are on USA and Sci-Fi.
$10 a month for Marine 2, Revenge of the Marine? No, thank you.
They could pay me $10 a month and I wouldn't watch that crap.
No.
I don't know. I don't know what they're doing with this. They're supposed to be setting up a new deal with YouTube and putting content on that. I don't know what they're planning on putting on that either. They want to put out Smark Out Movement. Send me a paycheck. And you know what? Actually, that might do us in. Little transition there from YouTube and WWE Network over to the channel again. So if anybody wants to be on a future episode of Smark Out Moments Smack Talk, then let me know in the comments or send me a message on the website, Twitter, all that kind of nonsense you kids are doing nowadays. Thanks for having you tonight, Chris. Anything you want to say?
Good being here. We need more than 2 people, so comment and join.
Exactly. As many people as we can fit without it getting too chaotic.
That's
I don't
true.
know. Once Days comes here next week, if we have the 3 of us, it might be just enough.
A little 3-way action, never hurt anybody.
I don't know. Maybe with Michael Hayes, Rosa might get pissed. So that leaves us with that. This has been a Smark Out moment, and I'm being counted out. See you next time.